Good day, everyone. For today, we will discuss your pre-immersion. So this pre-immersion is all about your supposedly OJT for your grade 12. But unfortunately, since tayo ay nasa pandemic, hindi natin makakandak yung mga nakagawian na or nakasanayan na paraan natin kung paano natin ginagawa itong pre-immersion or yung inyong OJT. So despite na hindi natin gagawin yung usual na immersion ninyo, we still have to discuss this pre-immersion or understanding work immersion. Baka matanong ninyo, home based naman yung OJT namin, bakit po kailangan pa namin yan? It's because time will come na mag-a-apply kayo ng inyong trabaho soon. It's either pagkatapos ninyo ng senior high school or pagkatapos ninyo ng inyong college. So with that, kahit papano, through this pre-immersion seminar or understanding work immersion, magkakaroon na kayo ng idea kung paano yung nagiging proseso kapag kayo ay papasok na sa isang actual na trabaho. Kaya despite na home base ang inyong OJT or ang inyong immersion, ikakandak para natin itong pre-immersion seminar ninyo so that magkakaroon kayo ng idea kung ano yung gagawin talaga ninyo in the actual workplace. Okay? So the first topic is all about understanding work immersion. Ayan, ano nga ba yung mga expected behavior dapat ninyo bilang mga OJT or bilang isang student na nagte-take ng immersion in different fields, okay? So, una, work ethics. Yan. Work ethics is an invisible employee behavior noticeable by its absence. So, ano ba itong tinatawag natin na work ethics? Sabi nga daw, invisible employee behavior daw siya at napapansin lang kapag hindi mo nagagawa. So, sabihin natin, in terms of ethics, yan yung the way ka mag-behave sa isang company, yan, yung performance mo, mga work performance, yan, on how you, aside from that, nakapaloob din dyan kung paano ka makakipag-deal with the other employees, yan. Since ikaw isa ka pa nga lang trainee dyan or sabihin natin nagtatake ka lang ng immersion, ayan, 'di ba? Paano ka makikipag-deal with the other people? Okay? Ayan. And also kung paano ka magbe-behave, yung proper na pag-uugali, 'yan, yung tamang yung kung paano ka sasagot ng tama, 'yan, with the other employees, 'di ba? And also yung punctuality, kung like yung pagpasok mo ng tama sa oras or reporting on time, yan. So nakapaloob yan dyan. Then, a belief in work as a moral good, a set of values centered on the importance of doing work and reflected especially in a desire or determination to work hard. So, this refers naman doon sa performance natin sa trabaho natin. So, despite na kayo ay trainee or nagtitake pa lang ng immersion, dapat nandun na yung inyong dedication or yung determination ninyo na makapagtrabaho ng maayos, okay? Pagdating kasi dyan, lalo na nung time na kayo ay, kung ang OJT ninyo ay nasa labas, ayan, syempre, titingnan din yung behavior ninyo or yung performance ninyo as one of their trainee, okay? So, ina-evaluate yun, ina-assess yun, okay? And then ethics is something what is learned and chosen throughout one's life. So kayo magde-decide niyan. And sometimes kung ano yung mga natututunan natin sabihin natin na in work or yan or in life yan, kayo na kung ano yung kayo na magde-decide diyan kung ano yung mga i-apply ninyo. Sabihin natin na yan through your training or through your immersion, yung natutunan kayo yung ganitong bagay, okay? Sa inyo na yan kung itutuloy pa ba ninyo yan or na kayo din naman magde-decide kasi kayo lang din makakaalam kung makakatulong ba yan sa inyo as a person para mas mag-develop kayo lalo, okay, or mag-grow kayo. And then, now, the common workplace ethics. Yan, and ito daw yung mga common workplace ethics na kadalasan na dapat pinoposes natin, okay, as a trainee sa different workplace na maaari ninyong pagtrabahuhan, okay, or yung taken ninyo ng inyong immersion. Okay? First is the punctuality. Yan, as mentioned earlier, di ba? Punctuality displays a person's respect for people and time. In a scheduled appointment, the latecomer usually gives an impression that he or she doesn't value the other person's time or considers his or her time more important than that of the other. Okay, so ayan, ibig sabihin, sa pagpasok mo lang ng maaga or ng on time sa iyong duty or sa iyong trabaho, ibig sabihin na pinapahalagahan mo yung time ng mga taong makakasalamuha mo, and at the same time pinapakita mo na dedicated ka sa trabaho mo. Kasi kapag yun nga na ganyan na parang baliwala lang sa'yo, okay lang sa'yo na lagi kang late, ganyan, total wala namang sisita sa'yo, ganyan. So parang hindi mo parang ibig sabihin na hindi ka na ganun ka interested sa trabaho mo, kasi nga hindi na sa'yo mahalaga yung time na makapagtrabaho ka ng buong oras sa trabaho, di ba? And aside from that, lalo na kung ang nature ng trabaho mo ay nakikipag-deal ka with the other people or with other clients, then you set time na to meet or you set an appointment with the other person on a particular time, tapos lagi kang late. So, ibig sabihin nun, kapag ganun, parang ang mahalaga lang sa'yo yung oras mo. You did not give value dun sa oras ng ibang tao. Okay? So, kailangan be punctual. Iwasan natin yung pagiging late. Okay? Dapat kung anong oras ang pasok, sabihin natin 8 ang pasok, dapat before 8 or 8 sakto nandiyan ka na sa trabaho mo, 'di ba? Kasi gano'n naman talaga in the actual work. Pag dedicated ka sa trabaho mo, papasok ka talaga ng maaga. But if not, ayan, hindi mo na nga pinahalagan yung oras ng iba at oras mo na lang mahalaga sa iyo, hindi ka na parang hindi ka na interested doon sa iyong trabaho or doon sa iyong work assignment. Okay, next is the responsibility. So being responsible means being dependable, keeping promises, and honoring our commitments. It is accepting the consequences for what we say and do. It also means developing our potential. People who are responsible don't make excuses for their actions or blame others when things go wrong. Okay, so kailangan you should be responsible enough pagdating sa mga commitments. Sa trabaho, may mga bibigay sa'yo na ganitong tasks na gagawin mo to. Tapos, sasabihin sa'yo, bibigyan ka ng deadline na kailangan ipasa mo sa ganitong oras, sa ganitong araw, di ba? So, you should be responsible enough for you to perform that task. Okay? Gaya na lang ng pagpapagawa sa inyo ng mga teachers ninyo ng inyong mga assignments, projects, yan, 'di ba? Sas bibigyan kayo ng deadline. Kailangan ipasa nyo on time. So with that, you nagiging responsible kayo pagdating sa mga commitments, okay, na ginagawa ninyo, okay? So, kailangan, kung kayo daw talaga responsible, wala kayong excuses with that. Gagawin ninyo yan. Okay? So, pagdating naman sa trabaho, ayan, kapag may binigay sa inyo, kailangan ma-perform ninyo ng maayos. You should be responsible enough on how will you perform the task given to you. Okay? You should perform the task responsibly, okay? Para wala nang delay. Okay? Hindi ka na matapos mo agad yung mga dapat mong gawin. Okay? And kapag na late, yan, ibig sabihin, tapos hindi mo nagawa ng maayos, ibig sabihin na you're not responsible enough in performing that task. You are not capable kasi hindi mo siya magawa ng maayos. Okay? So, kailangan ganun din pagdating sa trabaho. Next, ayan, employee loyalty can be defined as employees who are devoted to the success of their organization and believe that being an employee of this organization is in their best interest. Not only do they plan to remain with the organization, but they do not actively seek for alternative employment opportunities. So, ayan, loyalty, common na sa atin yan. Yan, kadalasan nga ay ginagamit pa ninyo pang hugot-hugot yung loyalty na yan, di ba? Sana all loyal, ganyan-ganyan, di ba? So, as simple as staying with the organization for a long time, okay, without looking for another opportunity outside the organization, that's loyalty already. Okay? Once na nagstay ka na dyan, at hindi ka na naghanap pa ng opportunity outside that organization, you are now being loyal with that organization. Kaya nga there are some other companies that they are giving loyalty rewards with their loyal employees. Based on my previous work experience dun sa dati kong pinapasukan, ayan, every 5 years meron silang binibigay na reward sa mga employees na tumatagal. Okay? So for example, meron tayo, kunwari ako, umaabot ako ng 5 years na doon sa company na yon. So, aside from the recognition na binibigay nila, may plaque na binibigay eh. Tapos, cash incentive. So, kung 5 years ako, 5,000 yung bibigay sa akin. So, makaka-receive ako ng loyalty award every 5 years. Okay? So, ganun yung naging program, ganun yung naging binibigay nung dating company na pinapasukan ko. So, meron nga doon na iba na tumatagal na ng 30 years. So, equivalent ton 30,000 din na cash, okay? So, that's the reward na nakukuha ng mga employees being loyal with the organization or with the company. Okay? So, paano pa nga ba natin maipapakita yung loyalty with the organization? By just simply taking care of the confidential things of the company or mga confidential informations yan na dapat within the organization lang at hindi mo na sinasabi pa sa iba or hindi na binobroadcast pa sa iba yung mga confidential information. So part din yun nung pagpapakita natin ng loyalty natin within the organization. Okay? And also, yung mga strategies na ginagamit ng isang organization, okay, mga processes, yan kung ano yung mga sistema nila within the organization. Tapos, hindi ka pa, once na sinasabi mo yan sa iba, lalo na kung competitor yan, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, you're not being loyal. Parang, nagtataksil ka doon sa organization, di ba? Okay? So, ayan po yung ibig sabihin ng loyalty in terms of work, di ba? Next is teamwork. Teamwork also maximizes shared knowledge in the workplace and helps you learn new skills you can use for the rest of your career. Collaborating on a project creates an enthusiasm for learning that solitary work usually lacks. Okay? So, when we say teamwork, ayan, shared knowledge in the workplace. So, sa isang organization or kapag kayo ay nasa trabaho na, hindi lang naman kayo magtatrabaho para sa sarili ninyo. Okay? Once you work in a private company or in an organization, yan, hindi mawawala na nakikipag-deal kayo or nagtatrabaho kayo kasama yung iba pang empleyado. Laging may pag-uusap na mangyayari dyan. And also, you are all aiming for a one goal, which is the objective of the company or of the organization, na pare-parehas naman kayo na dapat yun ang goal na gustong ma-achieve. Kaya kailangan mayroong teamwork. Okay? Hindi ka po pwedeng kung ano lang gusto mo yun ang mangyayari. Hindi. Okay? So, kailangan synchronize yung trabaho ninyo within the organization. Okay? So, kayo naman, ayan, kung kayo ay magtatrabaho or mag-work as an trainee or OJT or mag-immersion kayo in a private company, ayan, hindi po pwedeng kung ano yung gusto lang ninyo. Okay? So, kailangan merong teamwork. Okay? Kasi that will help you and the organization, your department as well, kung saan man kayo mapuntang department pagdating sa isang private company, will help the group or will help the organization to achieve your objective. Okay? Kaya kailangan natin ng teamwork. Ganun na rin, pasimplihin natin para mas madali ninyong maintindihan, di ba? So, kunwari kayo sa mga group projects ninyo, di ba? Hindi naman po pwedeng kanya-kanya kayo ng trabaho. Siyempre, dapat coordinated kayong lahat as a group, 'di ba? Para mag-success at ma-achieve ninyo yung inyong goal or yung objective, okay? Next, positive attitude. A positive attitude doesn't mean ignoring life's troubles. It just means being an optimist and looking for the good things rather than being a pessimist and concentrating on the bad in things. So, when we say positive attitude yan, pagdating sa trabaho, syempre, kailangan, may mga tipo kasi na sa trabaho na parang siya yung nagbibigay ng negative energy within the organization or within the department. Okay? May taong ganun, okay, based on work experience. Ito yung mga tinatawag natin ng mga toxic yan. Okay? So kayo, since kayo kunwari ay magte-training pa lang or baguhan pa lang, pakita niyo yung positive attitude ninyo pagdating sa trabaho na kaya ninyo, positive lang yung thinking ninyo, ayan, okay? And then hindi naman ibig sabihin nga ng pagkakaroon ng positive attitude ini-ignore mo na yung mga possibilities na magkaroon ng negative things or yung mga unexpected events. Okay? So when having a positive attitude, yan, ibig sabihin na you can handle properly whether magkaroon man ng aberya, okay? Magkaroon man ng bad things, okay? So mas mainam na mayroong nandoon yung inyong positive attitude pagdating sa trabaho, okay? Nakakahawa 'yon. Mas okay na nakakahawa kaysa naman nakakahawa yung negative attitude or yung pagiging toxic, 'di ba? So mas okay yung positive attitude. Siyempre para magaan yung feeling sa or yung maganda yung environment ninyo within your workplace, 'di ba? Okay, so yun po. Next is professionalism. It's all about how a person conducts themselves, emulating the skills and traits expected of a professional. Ito madalas natin marinig yung professionalism na yan, yan. So paano nga ba natin ipoposes itong professionalism na ito? First is syempre, nandiyan din yung pagpapakita natin yung proper attitude pagdating sa trabaho. Okay? Then in terms of mga conflicts, nahahandle mo siya ng maayos. Okay, hindi yung nagkaroon lang ng problema, ganyan, bara-bara na kung ano ba pinagsasabi-sabi, di ba? So, ayan. Then also, when dealing with other people, ayan, you properly handle them. Okay? So, sa mga ganyang paraan natin ay ipapakita yung professionalism natin. Okay? Pagdating sa trabaho. Now, let's proceed with the safety in the workplace. So, ayan, though sabi ko nga kanina, though ang inyong magiging immersion for this year or for your OJT is home-based, ayan, we still have to discuss this just in case na kayo nga ay pumasok na sa trabaho or after your senior high school. 'Di ba? Merong sa inyo na gusto na magtrabaho, at least with this pre-immersion or understanding the immersion, mas nagiging familiar na kayo. Okay? So, in the safety in the workplace, first thing, be aware of your surroundings. This step requires knowing the particular hazards of your job or workplace. Once you've learned these risks, you are able to keep clear of potentially hazardous areas and potential hazardous situations. Also, always be alert of machinery. Okay? So, ayan, as simple as pagiging aware lang or dapat na alam lang ninyo yung pinagtatrabahuhan ninyo. Kung sakali ba magkaroon ng problema, magkaroon ng lindol, magkaroon ng sunog, wag naman sana. Alam nyo ba kung saan kayo exit? Yan, yung mga emergency exits. So, aside from that, to sa mga hazardous areas na yan, ayan, yung mga area din or yung mga assigned areas dun sa inyong particular na workplace, okay? Na dapat sa ganitong pwesto nakalagay, alam nyo kung saan nakalagay yung mga ganitong mga kagamitan na ginagamit ninyo in the operation sa trabaho or dun sa workplace. Okay? Next, keep correct posture to protect your back. So if you work at a desk, keep your shoulders in line with your hips to avoid back problems. If you're picking things up, use correct form so your back doesn't get hurt. Avoid stooping and twisting. Okay, sa trabaho kasi, yan, lalo na kung ang nature ng trabaho lagi ka nakaharap sa computer, ayan, may tendency na ang nangyayari kapag sobrang taas ng upuan, parang nakayuko ka dun ngayon sa iyong keyboard, tapos nakayuko ka sa tapat ng inyong computer. Okay? So, para nga maiwasan yan, syempre, dapat mas mainam na eye level lang, or kung hindi man, make sure na nakakasandal kayo or may masasandalan yung inyong yung likod niyo or yung upuan niyo may sandalan, 'di ba? Okay. So, ayan. So, isa rin, kailangan mo rin protektahan yung likuran mo kasi madalas likuran na makakaramdam ng sakit pagdating sa pagod sa trabaho, 'di ba? Okay? So, ayan po. Then next, take regular breaks. So many work-related injuries and illnesses occur because a worker is tired, burned out, and not alert to their surroundings. Taking regular breaks help you stay fresh on the job. One trick to staying alert is to schedule the most difficult task when your concentration is best, like first thing in the morning. So, take regular breaks. So, sa different companies, may mga culture na yan sila or may mga norms, may mga nakasanayan na yan sila na kung anong oras sila nagbe-break. Merong mga companies na dalawa yung in between breaks, okay? Maliban sa lunch break, ha. So sa umaga, kung papasok ng 8, mga around 9:30 or 10, meron na silang nagbe-breaken sila. Then syempre pagpatak ng 12, lunch break ulit. Tapos pagdating ng hapon, mga sabihin natin mga 3 or 3:30 yan, may nagbe-break ulit. Okay? So, nakakatulong itong break pagdating sa trabaho kasi lalo na kung ang nature ng trabaho ay masyadong heavy, dire-diretso ka sa trabaho, ay maghapon ka nakatapat sa computer, ayan, kahit nga naka-field work, kung ang nature ng trabaho ay field work, lalong kailangan talaga ng break, di ba? Kasi nakakapagod na dire-diretso ka at lunch break lang ang pahinga. But, merong mga nature ng trabaho na ang break lang talaga ay lunch break lang. O kaya naman, walang break sa umaga, sa hapon lang ang break. Okay? Depende rin yun sa company. Okay? So, kailangan magkaroon ng regular break. Pero, kung ikaw ay magbe-break lang ng dahil sa gusto mo lang, medyo yun yung ano natin, yun yung dito, medyo magkaka-conflict yan pagdating sa company policy. So kung ano lang yung existing, kung halimbawa kayo ay trainee pa lang yan, OJT or nag-immersion yan, sumabay lang kayo sa kung ano yung nakasanayan na nung organization or nung company, kung anong oras yung kanilang breaks. Huwag kayong gumawa ng sarili ninyong break. Okay? Unless otherwise stated na po pwede or na allowed. Okay? Next, use tools and machines properly. Take the proper precautions when using tools and never take shortcuts. Taking shortcuts is one of the leading cause of workplace injury. It's a huge safety risk to use scaffolding as a ladder or one tool in a place or another for a specific job. Using tools the right way greatly reduces the chance of workplace injury. So, ibig sabihin, kapag merong mga tools and machinery sa pinapagamit sa inyo, gamitin ng maayos. Kung may manual naman, gamitin ang manual. Or kung hindi alam, pwedeng magpaturo sa kung sino yung marunong. Ako, based on my experience sa OJT ko, nung college, actually first time kong makagamit ng fax machine kasi hindi ako gumagamit ng fax machine before, but nalaman ko lang siya nung ako ay nag-OJT na, doon ako naturuan na gumamit ng fax machine at kung paano mag-fax. Okay? So ayan, lalo na kung baguhan, huwag kayong mahihiyang magtanong or magpaturo kung paano gamitin yung particular machine or tools na hindi pa familiar sa inyo, at lalo na kung hindi pa ninyo alam gamitin. Huwag marunong or huwag magrunong-runungan na alam talagang gamitin. Kung hindi alam, magtanong or magpaturo kung paano gagamitin. Okay? Yan. Ano-ano ba yung mga ibang ginagamit dyan? Ako nga kasi based on my experience yung fax. Yan. Okay? Then, halimbawa, kayo ay nautusan na mag-photocopy or mag-xerox. Yan. Magtanong kung paano. Okay? Huwag yung pindot lang ng pindot doon sa machine. Mamaya, pindot kayo ng pindot doon, 100 copies sa pala yung napipindot ninyo na ipiprint. Diba? Okay? So, magtanong po. Okay? Next. Keep emergency exits easily accessible. In case of an emergency, you'll need to quick, easy access to the exits. It's also recommended to keep clear access to the equipment shut-offs in case you need to quickly stop them from functioning. So, ibig sabihin, ayan, para maging safe lang sa workplace, kailangan accessible lang emergency exits, and then yung kumbaga sinasabi rin dyan is yung pinaka safety box nung area easily accessible din para kung kailangan patayin in case of fire, mas madaling mapapatay. Next is report unsafe conditions to your supervisor. Your supervisor needs to be informed about any workplace safety hazards or risks. They are legally obligated to ensure their employees have a safe working environment and will take care of the unsafe conditions and make them safe for you and your coworkers. So, kung feeling ninyo sa area ninyo or sa workplace ninyo is delikado, okay? Wag kayong magdadalawang isip na i-report 'yon with your immediate supervisor. Okay, lalo na kung halimbawa sa workstation mo na inilagay ka sa workstation na kung saan tingin mo or pakiramdam mo ibabagsak na yung kisame anytime na any moment na nagtatrabaho ka, 'di ba? So i-report mo na 'yon, okay? Then sabihin natin yung bumbilya ganyan na pwede malaglag anytime kung sakaling magkalindol, 'di ba? So i-report na agad yung mga nakikita ninyong maaring irregularities or yung maaring makapagpahamak sa inyo in terms of your workplace, okay? Para manatiling ma-keep safe kayo, okay? Next, use mechanical aids whenever possible. Instead of attempting to carry or lift something that's really heavy in an attempt to save a silver of time during your workday, take the extra minute to use a wheelbarrow, conveyor belt, crank or forklift. Too many injury risks are involved with trying to lift something that weighs too much. Okay? So, para mas mapadali, kung mayroong mga mechanical may mga materials naman na pwedeng magamit para mas mapadali ang inyong trabaho, lalo na pagdating sa mga pagbubuhat-buhat ganyan, gumamit ng mga gamit na makakatulong sa inyo. Sabihin, yan nga, kung may forklift, conveyor belt, yan, kung available naman, gamitin para mas mapadali ang trabaho. Like nung ako ay nasa isang company pa, yan na kung saan meron kaming events na pinupuntahan at kailangan namin ng mga materials, okay? So yung mga materials na yun imbis na isa-isahin mong buhatin mula doon sa kanyang pinaglalagyan papunta doon sa truck na pagsasakyan ng mga gagamitin for the event, yan, instead na isa-isa mong buhatin, gumamit ka ng ng something na makakatulong sa inyo. Okay? Like yung ang tawag doon, yung may pinagpapatuan tapos yung may gulong tapos hihilahin yun. Basta yung mga ganong bagay na sa tingin ninyo mas makakatulong para mas mapadali ang inyong trabaho. Okay? Next is stay sober. Around 3% of workplace fatalities occur due to alcohol and drugs. When a worker's ability to exercise judgment, coordination, motor control, concentration, and alertness is compromised, this leads to any number of risks and workplace injury and fatalities. So, ayan, ang bottom line lang nito, huwag papasok ng lasing or wag papasok ng yan na may impluwensya ng droga or na may impluwensya ng alak, okay? So kasi 'di ba, ibang epekto nun sa tao, hindi makakapagtrabaho ng maayos, ayan, maaaring kung ano-ano yung masabi, 'di ba? So that's for us to maintain the safety in the workplace. Next is reduce workplace stress. Stress can lead to depression and concentration problems. Common causes of workplace stress include long hours, heavy workload, job insecurity, and conflicts with coworkers or managers. Take your concerns about the workplace stress to your supervisor to see how they might help you address them. So, bawasan yung stress sa trabaho. Paano nga ba natin mababawasan yung stress sa trabaho? Sabihin natin marami kayong trabaho, tamba kayo ng ginagawa, ganyan. Diba sabi nga kanina, positive attitude. Okay? So, imbis na magreklamo ka dyan sa dinami-dami na ginagawa, gawin mo na lang na maayos. Okay? Para imbis na yung oras mo ay nasasayang doon, natatapos mo pa onti-onti, di ba? Yan. Basta bawasan yung stress pagdating sa trabaho. Kasama na rin doon yung pag-iwas sa mga toxic na tao. Ganyan, di ba? Okay? And then, avoid yung mga conflicts para mabawasan yung stress sa trabaho. The next is wear the correct safety equipment. If you're not wearing the correct safety equipment for a task, you may get injured. Depending on the job, equipment like earplugs, earmuffs, hard hats, safety goggles, gloves, or full face mask greatly reduce the risk of workplace injury. Mostly ng mga nandito, ito yung mga trabaho na sabihin natin construction, yan, yung mga kailangan ng safety equipment. Okay, but in some other workplace naman, lalo na kung office work lang naman yan, wala naman ng gaanong ganyan na safety equipments, okay? But if needed, kailangan isuot na lang, sumunod na lang. Wag nang gumawa ng sariling batas at wag nang batas-batasan na hindi magsusuot ng safety equipment, lalo na kung kailangan. Now, let's proceed with your rights and responsibilities in the workplace. So, rights and responsibilities for the employer, ayan, your employer is responsible for making sure your work environment is safe and providing appropriate protective equipment if necessary. So, responsibilidad ng employer mo na kailangan safe ka sa trabaho. Nandoon yung iyong safety. Okay? Lalo na pag yung workplace mo rin, kailangan safe ka sa iyong workplace. Next, workers are free from discrimination and bullying. Okay? So, responsibility rin ng employer yan na kailangan walang discrimination na nangyayari. Okay? Sa trabaho. And also bullying. Pero, yung bullying, depende naman yan kasi may mga cases naman na sa isang department, kahit kami dati sa dati kong trabaho, na may mga asaran lang ng konti, pero hindi naman yung ganun kalala talaga na as in pine-personal, okay? Minsan may mga biruan lang, so matutulan din tayong sumabay pagdating sa ganun. Pero kung sa tingin ninyo hindi na basta biruan, lalo na kung normal, halos araw-araw na, yan na, pwede mo nang i-report yan with your immediate supervisor. Next is you receive all your entitlements in terms of pay and conditions. So, trabaho talaga ng employer yan. Kailangan ma-receive mo lahat ng mga dapat para sa'yo. Sweldo mo and the other benefits. Okay? And then next, your right and responsibility naman as a worker. So as a worker, you are responsible for understanding the conditions of your employment. This includes knowing your rate of pay, working hours, and entitlements to breaks and leave. So, ayan, dapat alam mo kung magkano yung sweldo mo per day, kung anong oras lang talaga ang trabaho mo, kung 8 to 5 ka ba, 7 to 4 ka ba, 6 to 6 ka ba, at yung iba pang benefits na dapat mong matanggap. And then, yung breaks yan, entitlements to breaks and leave. So, right mo, lalo na for the regular employees, ayan, right ninyo na magkaroon kayo ng leave ninyo. Okay? Leave sa trabaho. Na kung saan yung leave na iyon, leave with pay, separate pa dyan yung vacation leave tsaka sick leave. Ayan. Okay? And then next is working in a way that is not harmful to the health and safety of yourself or others. So you are also responsible to work properly in a organization or in a company na kung saan hindi dapat maging harmful yung magiging trabaho mo sa ibang kasama mo sa trabaho. Okay? Na kung saan dapat safe din yung ibang co-workers mo. And then next is knowing what to do if you think your employer is not meeting their responsibilities. So, isa rin sa right mo yun as a worker na alam mo dapat yung gagawin mo pag hindi nagagawa ng employer mo yung responsibilities nila as the employer, okay? So, right mo yon na kung sakaling hindi ka na natitreat ng tama, na right mo na ireklamo sila. Okay? Sabi natin nandiyan dyan ng dole, yan. Okay? Next, make sure you understand the conditions of your employment. This includes your rate of pay, working hours, and your entitlements for breaks, leave, and public holidays. Ayan, kailangan alam mo nga yun, as mentioned earlier. Next is know your rights in regards to discrimination and bullying. Know what to do if you experience or witness this in your workplace. So, dapat nasa part ito ng orientation na kung saan na-inform ka as a worker na ganito yung dapat mong i-take na actions once you experience this discrimination and bullying. So, right mo yun na malaman. Okay? And then you should make sure you know the health and safety requirements for your workplace. Know how to maintain a safe environment for yourself and others. Okay? So, kailangan alam mo kung ano yung standard protocols pagdating sa health and safety, lalo na in this time of pandemic. Okay? Na, yan, isa sa mga common protocols ngayon, pagsusot ng face mask and face shield, yan. Pag-monitor ng body temperature upon entry ng workplace, di ba? Ayan. So, yun yung mga paraan para ma-maintain yung safe environment. So, yun yung pinaka-common sa ngayon. And then also, you have access to all of the appropriate safety gear and equipment. Know what to do in the event of accident. Okay? So, gaya rin na nabanggit ko kanina, kailangan alam nyo kung saan kayo pupunta once na magkaroon ng problema, lalo na kung sunog or lindol. And also, make sure you know where to get help on workplace health and safety issues relevant to your state or territory. So in the Philippines dito, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, meron tayong tinatawag na Occupational Safety and Health Center, na kung saan yun yung mga nag-accommodate mga concerns natin in terms of workplace health and safety issues. So, let's now proceed with the importance of confidentiality at work. So, workplace confidentiality can be defined as keeping the employee, customer, and client information private. So, ibig sabihin, sa pag kayo ay halimbawa nag-training, nag-OJT, or nag-immersion sa isang private company or an organization, may mga information, may mga details kayong malalaman na kung saan some of them are confidential at hindi po pwedeng ipagsabi sa iba. So they should be remain private, okay? Lalo na kung part kayo ng isang organization at protocol yun na hindi po pwedeng ilabas yung ganong information, kailangan manatiling confidential yun. Then an employee should be prudent enough not to disclose any information that the organization considers sensitive and confidential to a third party until and unless the employee has consulted and taken permission from his supervisor regarding the same. So, yun, may mga informations nga kasi na hindi dapat din i-disclose sa iba. Okay? Sabagay, meron naman kasi na may mga organizations or may mga companies na kapag OJT hindi naman nila pinagkakatiwala yung mga ganun kalalaking informations na confidential. Okay? Mostly yan na mga nakaka-encounter ng mga confidential informations na yan, yung mga employees na talaga. Okay? So if in case na kayo ay employee na sa isang company, ayan, alam nyo dapat kung ano yung mga confidential at hindi. Unless otherwise, humingi ka ng permission to disclose that particular information to others or to use that particular information in whatever the purpose na kailangan. Okay? So, maintaining confidentiality is important for varied reasons. The client or the customer can file legal suits against the organization if they feel that some secret information regarding them have been revealed by the organization or its employees. So, yan nga, may mga confidential informations due to some reasons, okay? May mga confidentials na may mga information na confidential just to protect not only the company or the organization but also to protect your clients, okay? May mga ganong bagay. Okay, so kaya importante yung confidentiality. Actually, sa panahon ngayon, meron pa nga tayong tinatawag na Data Privacy Act, di ba? Kaya hindi po pwedeng basta-basta na lang nakakapaglabas ng information sa ngayon, lalo na kung information niya ng client, ng customer, okay? Lalo na sa panahon ngayon, 'di ba? May contact tracing, okay? So once na nag-gather yun ng isang particular establishment, hindi nila po pwedeng i-disclose yun to others. So that's confidential, okay? And also part of the Data Privacy Act. Then next is confidentiality is the protection of personal information. Confidentiality means keeping a client's information between you and the client and not telling others. So here are the examples of maintaining confidentiality. Includes the following. So individual files are locked and secured. Yan. Yung mga files lalo na sa HR department or sa human resource department na yung mga files diyan, lalo na yung mga files ng employees, yung mga contracts yan, confidential yan, kaya nakatabi yan, secure yan. The next is support workers do not tell other people what is in a client's file unless they have permission from the client. As simple as folder lang sa isang table ng isang worker or ng isang employee, confidential yan, hindi po pwedeng gawin. Lalo na kung nakasara, tapos bubuksan mo, hindi dapat ganon. Kasi nga confidential yan. Kaya nga yan, naka-folder, nakatago, nakatakip. And then, information about clients is not told to people who do not need to know. Okay? So, yan, information about the clients, hindi na dapat yan dinidisclose sa iba. And then, clients' medical details are not discussed without their consent. Yan, confidential nga daw kasi yun. And then, adult clients have the right to keep any information about themselves confidential, which includes that information being kept from family and friends. So, the types of information that is considered confidential can include, ayan, ito naman yung mga mga aring confidential informations. Yan, name, date of birth, age, sex, and address, current contact details of family, guardian, etc. Bank details yan. Contact number is very confidential. Then bank details as well. Yan, medical history or records, personal care issues, service records and file progress notes, individual personal plans, assessments or reports, guardianship orders, incoming or outgoing personal correspondence. So yan yung mga common confidential informations. And other information relating to ethnic or racial origin, political opinions, religious or philosophical beliefs, health, or sexual lifestyle should also be considered confidential. Okay? So, yan. By now, or by this time, alam nyo na yung mga maaaring mga information na confidential at hindi dapat basta-basta din i-disclose with the other person outside the organization or outside the company. So now, let's proceed with the effective conflict resolution and teamwork skills. Yan. Teams need to develop ways of preventing conflict from becoming damaging. Team members can learn skills and behavior to help this. Here are some of the key ones to work on. So first, dealing with conflict immediately. Avoid temptation to ignore it. So, hanggat kayang iwasan ng conflict, kapag tatalo, misunderstanding yan, mga sagutan, iwasan hanggat kaya, okay? Para hindi magkaroon ng problema. Then, being open. If people have issues, they need to be expressed immediately and not allowed to fester. So, once na mayroong problem with the other person within the organization or sabihin natin co-worker mo, kindly, i-direct mo na agad yun doon sa person involved para ma-solve na rin kung ano yung problem. And then practicing clear communication, articulate thoughts and ideas clearly. Idaan sa tamang usapan, huwag sa parinigan. As simple as that. Then practice active listening, paraphrasing, clarifying, questioning. Ayan. So para hindi magkaroon ng conflict, ayan, kailangan kung meron hindi naintindihan sa instruction, itanong, okay? Or kung hindi naintindihan yung way of delivery mo, try mo i-explain in the other approach, okay? So, next is not letting conflict get personal. So, stick to facts and issues, not personality. So, kung may conflict or may problema, lalo na kung work-related, huwag dapat gawing personal. Meron kasi mga ganun na ginagawang personal yung conflict sa trabaho. So, kung trabaho, trabaho lang. Okay? Focusing on actionable solutions. Don't belabor what can be changed. So, with this, as simple as be a solution-oriented. Okay? Wag nang reklamo ng reklamo, ganon. And next is not looking for blame. Encourage ownership of the problem and solution. So, magkapatid sila nung kanina na focusing on actionable solution. So, instead na sisi ng sisi, reklamo ng reklamo, hanapan na lang ng solusyon ng problema. Okay? Para hindi na magkaroon ng conflict. Kung may problema, hanapan na ng solusyon. Kasi sa panahon ngayon nga, like most of the students, may mga students na instead of being a solution-oriented, nagiging tawag dito, problem-oriented. Pag nandyan ang problema, lalong pinoproblema. Imbes na hanapan ng solusyon, lalo lang pinoproblema. Di walang nangyari, di ba? So, pagdating sa trabaho, mas mainam na ire-report mo ang isang problem na meron ka ng nakahandang solution. Kaysa sa magre-report ka ng problem, yung immediate supervisor mo pa ang maghahanap ng solusyon para dun sa problema na iyon. Diba? So, mas mainam na meron ka ng naka-ready. Okay? Nasa approval na lang kung i-approve or i-allow yung naiisip mo na solution. Okay? So, ganun dapat. The next is demonstrating respect. If the situation escalates, take a break and wait for the emotions to subside. Yan dapat. Lalo na kung nagkakainitan, hindi maiiwasan na magkakainitan pagdating sa trabaho. Okay? With that, kung ganyan, wag kung hanggal mo galit yung isa at galit ka rin, wag yung pag-uusapan kung ano yung problema. Hintayin nyo munang kumalma ang lahat bago pag-usapan yun. Kasi sabi nga may sino nagsabi na to, don't make decisions when you're angry or when you are too much happy. Okay? Kasi hindi ka makakapag-decide ng tama. Okay? So, with that, lalo na kung galit, kung galit yung emotion mo, kailangan kalmado ka na. Okay? Para makapag-decide ka na maayos at mas hindi ka makakapagbitaw din ng kung ano-anong salita, di ba? Then, keeping team issues with the team. So, talking outside allows to conflict to build and fester without being dealt with directly. So, keeping team issues within the team. So, kung may problema within the team, within the department, sa inyo na lang, wag nang idamay pa yung iba. Okay? Para hindi na lumaki pa kung ano man yung issue, di ba? Na iba kasi ginagawa para makahanap ng kakampi, i-chismis sa iba, ganyan. Wag pong ganon. Okay? So, kung problema ninyo, problema lang ninyo. Ganon lang yon. The next is confront the opposition. Okay? Kung may problema ka sa isang tao, edi kumprontahin, sabihin kung ano ang problema ng kalmado at hindi galit. Okay? Then define the conflict mutually and then define the conflict mutually. Sabihin, yan, kung ano yung conflict, kung ano yung problem, and then communicate feelings and position. So, ano ba ang stand mo dun sa problem na iyon? Okay? And then, what you feel with that problem. Okay? So, para maging maayos yan, you have to confront then kailangan yung proper communication na hindi galit yan para maging maayos ang usapan. And then take other person's perspective. So, for you to avoid conflict, hindi po pwedeng yung gusto mo lang. Kailangan intindihin mo rin yung point ng iba. And then, motivate to negotiate, then reach a mutually satisfying agreement. So, yan, pag-usapan and then pagkasunduan. So, terms and condition of the Memorandum of Agreement. So, this Memorandum of Agreement, meron dapat kayo nito kung kayo po ay magtatrabaho outside. Okay? Or kung kayo po ay mag-immersion outside the school. Okay? Meron dapat kayo nito. So, ano bang content nito? Ayan. So, ito dapat yung content nun kung kayo po ay mag-immersion sa labas. So, the training, even though it concludes actual operation of the employer's facilities, is similar to training provided in an educational program. So, ibig sabihin daw, ano yan? The training, even though it concludes actual operation of the employer's facilities, is similar to training provided. Okay, so yung yung training ninyo doon, kaya it's similar daw with the actual operation talaga kasi nga nagte-training kayo doon. Provided daw dapat na nandoon pa rin yung educational program na kung saan dapat meron pa rin matututunan ng estudyante doon sa training niya with that particular organization or with that particular company. Okay? And then next is the training is for the benefit of the student. Yes, it's for the benefit of the student and not for the benefit of the organization or of the company. So kayo dapat ang pinaka makikinabang doon sa training na yun. So in short, kailangan meron dapat kayong matutunan. Then next is the student does not displace regular employees and works under close supervision. So ibig sabihin yung training dapat, yung supposedly na training dapat ninyo or yung immersion dapat ninyo, hindi yun nangangahulugan na may mga papalitan kayo dong employees na kayo ang gagawa ng trabaho. Okay? Hindi po iyon. So, baka kasi ang mangyari dyan is parang kinuha kayo doon para kayo sumalo ng trabaho ng mga employees doon at sila ay hayahay at sumusweldo. Okay? Hindi po ganon. May mga bagay po na ipapagawa sa inyo or mga ipapatrabaho sa inyo na mayroon dapat kayong matutunan and you should work under close supervision. So, monitored po kayo. And then the students are not entitled to a job at the conclusion of the training period and are free to take jobs elsewhere in the same field. So, hindi po kayo entitled sa absorption sa isang private company after your immersion. So, nasa sa inyo pa rin po yun at nasa company decision pa rin yun kung kukunin kayo. Pero hindi yun nangangahulugan na automatic absorption after your immersion. Okay? So, any clinical training is performed under the supervision and direction of the people who are knowledgeable and experienced in the activity. So, sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, di ba, kung meron kayong mga i-operate na mga machineries na kailangan or iuutos sa inyo na gawin, kung hindi alam gamitin kung papaano, magtanong po. And yun nga, sabi nga, as per Memorandum of Agreement, kailangan tuturuan kayo habang pine-perform or habang ginagamit ninyo yung particular machine in the organization or within the company. The next is the training is general and qualifies the student to work in any similar business. It is not designed especially for a job with the employer that offers the program. So, pwede nga ninyong yung training ninyo na yan diyan in a organization or company, pwede nyo rin yung mga kung ano man yung matutunan ninyo. Okay, with that, maaari pa rin mag-apply with the other organizations na maaari ninyong mapasukan. And then, the screening process for the immersion program is not the same as for employment and does not appear to be for that purpose. The screening only uses criteria relevant for admission to an independent educational program. So, may screening process pero hindi ito katulad ng screening na kung paano kayo nag-a-apply sa trabaho. Ito po ay ang screening process dito is tinitingnan lang kung qualified kayo for the position na maaaring i-offer or maaaring ipagawa sa inyo as a trainee. Okay? So, yun po. And then, advertisements, postings, or solicitations for the program clearly discuss education or training rather than employment. Although employers may indicate that qualified graduates may be considered for employment. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na it depends na nandun sa company or sa organization kung i-absorb kayo as their employee after your immersion or training. Now, let's proceed on writing a resume. So, kailangan ninyo yung itong resume. Bakit? Kasi ito yung sinasubmit natin every time na nag-a-apply kayo sa isang trabaho. So, at this point, ayan, mas mainam na nagiging familiar kayo kung paano nga dapat gumagawa ng isang resume. So, first, keep it one page. If hiring manager spending 6 seconds looking at your resume, he or she might not even get to the second page unless you're applying to be an executive or a partner somewhere. One page will be sufficient and is a widely accepted best practice. So, in short, kapag kayo gumawa ng resume ninyo, make sure na one page lang. Kasi hindi naman babasahin lahat or mas lalong mawawala ng gana yung nagbabasa niyan kung napakahaba niyan. Baka talambuhay ninyo ilagay ninyo sa inyong resume, no? So, lahat lang noong importante, and make sure mas mainam na one page lang ang inyong resume. And then next, avoid spelling or grammar errors. There are some recruiters who will discount your resume the second they see a spelling or grammar error. Make sure you don't just read over your resume several times, but also that you have a friend to take a peek to. So, always check your spelling and errors. So, ano na agad yun? Parang, ano na agad yun? Tawag dito? Parang minus points na agad yun kapag nakita ng isang employer or ng isang nag-i-interview na may grammatical error sa inyong resume. Diba? So, mas mainam na tama ang inyong grammar and spelling. Pagdating naman sa spelling, pag nag-type ka niyan sa MS Word, 'di ba? Magpupula naman agad 'yun kapag merong mali sa spelling, 'di ba? And then in terms of grammar, minsan nagkukulay blue. So, pwede ninyong i-right click 'yun, makikita ninyo doon kung ano yung tama. Okay? So, ayan, mas ano naman na ngayon, may tulong naman na ng MS Word para mas madali ninyo maitatama yung inyong mga spelling. And then next, watch your tenses. This is another common error that can really hurt you in the eyes of hiring managers. As a general rule, if something on your resume is in the past, use the past tense, manage, delivered, organized. And if you are still actively in the role, use the present tense, manage, deliver, organize. So, even in my experience as a teacher, nagturo ako sa college, first year college na hindi pa rin alam yun sa proper use of tenses, kung past tense, present tense, or future tense, diba? So kayo, pag nag-a-apply, make sure na ginagamit niyo yung proper tenses. So halimbawa meron kayong nilagay sa work experience niyo na yan, deliver something ganyan-ganyan, at kung tapos naman na kayo doon at hindi nyo na siya kasalukuyang ginagawa, so nasa past tense na yon, di ba? So familiar naman na kayo doon pagdating sa tenses sa kapag past tense, di ba? Usually ang verb niyan merong ed sa dulo, di ba? So you must always check or observe your use of tenses. Okay? Then next is avoid the first person pronouns. As a general practice, don't use words like I or me or my. So instead of saying I hit and exceeded company sales quotas 100% of the time, so say hit and exceeded sales of quotas 100% of the time. So sa paggawa ninyo ng resume ninyo, ayan, kung maglalagay kayo ng description ng trabaho ninyo, don't use first person, okay? So sabihin natin na isa sa work description na nilagay mo sa resume mo is, sabihin natin na nag-field work ka or nag-visit ka ng mga clients regularly, okay, sa mga offices nila. So instead of I visit ganyan-ganyan, visiting clients ganon. Okay? So i-avoid po natin yung paggamit ng I, me, or my, or yung mga tinatawag natin na first person pronouns. Next is make sure it's easy to read. You might be tempted to just shrink the text to get your resume to fit on a page. While you can adjust the size to some degree, never go below 10-point font. Okay? So, naintindihan po ha. So, kung marami kayong information na gustong ilagay sa inyong resume, tapos sabi nga kailangan pagkasyahin lang sa isang page, do some adjustment. So, first, pagdating sa font, wag daw bababa sa 10 point na font, okay? Yung size, yung font size. Next thing, spacing. Okay? Pwede kayong gumamit ng single spacing or ng multiple spacing or ng double spacing. Basta make sure na magkakasya nga sa isang page. So, another thing to adjust, margins. Pwede rin ninyong i-adjust yung margins pagdating sa MS Word. Okay? Para magkasya lahat ng information, lalo na kung marami kayong nilalagay sa inyong resume. Okay? And again, dapat, sabi nga, mas madaling mababasa yung inyong resume. Meron kasi ako na-encounter na resume is nasa gilid yung pangalan. Sabi natin sa may left side ng papel, tapos sa kapatagilid naka-vertical yung pagkakasulat ng pangalan. So ngayon itatagil, sino mag-a-adjust, yung magbabasa, 'di ba? So make sure na mababasa ng maayos yung inyong resume. Aside from that, wag din gumamit ng mga font na maaarte, yung mga cursive fonts, 'di ba? So para disenteng tingnan, mas maayos tingnan, professional tingnan ng inyong resume, gumamit ng mga font na mas madaling mabasa. So common na dyan yung Arial or Times New Roman. Then keep it consistent. Just like you want your verb tenses to be consistent throughout, it's also important that the formatting is too. If one's title's bold, the other titles should be bold. If one bullet point has a period at the end, the other bullet points should have that as well. So, ibig sabihin, pagdating sa formatting, kailangan consistent. Baka mamaya yung inyong tawag dito, yung sabihin natin na personal information kung meron, naka-Arial. Tapos pagdating naman doon sa educational background, naka-Times New Roman. Tapos yung title mo doon sa first part, naka-bold. Yung title sa baba, hindi naka-bold. O kaya naman, mas malaki yung font size nung nasa taas kumpara sa font size nung nasa bold. So, kailangan consistent ang inyong formatting. So, kung ang titles ng information sa nakalagay doon sa inyo ay naka-bold tapos Arial, dapat lahat ng title naka-bold or Arial. Tapos yung mga contents, kung lahat yan ay naka Arial tapos naka-justified, dapat lahat naka-justified. Baka mamaya naka-justified taas lang tapos yung isa naman lang sa left o kaya naka-right, 'di ba? Justified left or justified right o kaya naka-center. So kailangan consistent. Kung justified, dapat justified lahat or justified left kung lahat naka-justified left. Okay? So yun po yung tinatawag natin na keep it consistent. Next is, don't list everything you've ever done. There should be a purpose for every word. When you're writing and editing, ask yourself this question: will this sentence help me get the job I want? If not, you should consider editing that sentence or removing it. So, ibig sabihin, wag nyo nang isulat ang buong talambuhay ninyo sa inyong resume. Yun lang mga importanteng bagay na sa tingin po ninyo ay makakatulong sa inyo para po kayo ay ma-hire sa isang particular na trabaho. Okay? As simple as that. So now, let's proceed in filling out an application form. Kasi meron pong mga trabaho na aside from the resume, meron pang pinapa-fill out na mga application forms. So, ito daw yung mga tips. So, first is be prepared. Ask if you may take a blank application home or read the form. Be neat. Answer all questions completely and correctly. Be positive, be clear, alert references beforehand. Read the application when you are finished. So, be prepared. Paano nga ba magiging prepared? Mag-fill out ka lang naman ng application form. So may mga information kasi sa application form. Sa minsan, pag nandun na tayo sa part na iyon, hindi na natin alam. So kaya para maging prepared sa pagsasagot nun, kailangan alam mo na lahat ng mga information sa kailangan. Ano ba yung kadalasang nakakalimutan pagdating dyan? Kung anong taon gumraduate ng elementary, anong taon gumraduate ng high school, ng senior high school, okay? Kung saan nag-high school, yan, saan nag-elementary, birthday ng mother, birthday ng father, ilan kayo sa magkakapatid. Minsan yan yung mga information na magugulat tayo na nandoon sa application form na hindi natin expected na kailangan pala. So for you to be prepared, kailangan naka-ready yung mga informations na yon. So aside from that, meron pa dyan, nahihingin yung mga SSS number, pag-ibig number, TIN number, PhilHealth number. Ayan. So, hindi naman natin nakakabisado yung mga ganong information. So, for you to be prepared for that, for in filling out an application form, so yung mga ganong klase na information, kailangan naka-ready na. So, ako, in my experience, paano ko ba nire-ready yung mga ganong information? So, through my phone, sa notes, sinusulat ko na yung mga information na ganyan. Lalong-lalo na yung 4 na number na yun, yung pag-ibig, PhilHealth, TIN, tsaka SS, naka-note na yun sa cellphone ko para if in case na may mga application forms ako na hihingin yung mga ganong information, naka-ready na, prepared na, di ba? Hindi yung uuwi ka pa sa inyo or kukontak ka pa sa bahay ninyo, papahagila po pa yung ganitong dokumento para makuha yung number, di ba? So, kailangan naka-prepare na yung mga ganong informations. Next, ask if you may take a blank application home. So, kung hindi naman urgent or may time pa or pababalikin ka, ayan, pwede kayong mag-request ng blank application form para masulatan ng maayos, okay? Lalo na kung hindi kung unang-una hindi ka prepared pagdating sa pagsasagot ng application form. Next is read the form, okay? Basahin yung form para malaman mo kung ano yung mga informations na kailangan mong i-prepare or na i-fill up. Then next is be neat. So paano bang be neat? Unang-una na yung handwritten. Mayroong kahit gaano kalinis ang papel pero pag nasulatan na parang ang baboy-baboy na tingnan dahil ang sulat parang kinalahig ng manok. So kailangan i-fill out natin yung application form ng maayos. So ano pa, meron dyan yung iba puro bura. Diba? So para maging malinis tingnan, iwasan natin yung mga erasures. Okay? So if hindi maiiwasan ng erasures, use correction tape. Okay? Para maging maayos yung pagkaka-rewrite ng mga informations dun sa mga may erasures. Next is answer all questions completely and correctly. So, sagutan lahat. Okay? And dapat, syempre, tama. Okay? Kasi application form yun Minsan dun magbe-base ang company or an organization sa mga informations na pinoprovide mo doon. Then next is be positive and be clear. And, ayan, alert references beforehand. Read the application when you are finished. So, basahin, parang balikan ninyo yung mga sinagutan ninyo doon sa application form. Okay? Para ma-assure kung tama ba lahat. Next, job interview skills training. So interviewing is a skill and of itself in which your ability to interact with the interviewer and articulate your thoughts are just as important factors in getting the job as the qualifications listed in your resume. So ito yung mga skills na kailangan natin, okay, pagdating sa job interview. Okay? So first is the preparation. Winging it is never worth it. Not only will your interviewer see right through it, but your answers and your self-confidence as well will seriously suffer if you neglect to properly prepare. You should dedicate an hour at the minimum to your preparation. So, kapag kayo ay merong interview, syempre, kailangan prepared kayo. Yung iba nga dyan, nagtatry pa na maghanap-hanap ng mga common questions sa mga interview, di ba? And also, physically be prepared, okay? sa pagsusuot ng inyong damit, ayan, pumunta ng maaga para hindi naman hingal-hingal pagdating doon sa interview ninyo, 'di ba? And then ayan, yung mga balikan yung mga information sa kailangan ninyo. Lalo na yung mga reviewin ninyo yung inyong resume na ipapasa. Next is punctuality. There are very few excuses that will redeem a late arrival. Do whatever you need to do to get there 10 to 15 minutes in advance of your interview time. Whether it's planning your outfit and packing your bag the night before, setting 5 alarms, or asking a friend to give you a wake-up call, or leaving extra early to account for potential transportation obstacles. So again, agahan po pag meron kayong scheduled interview para makapag pahinga pa kayo. Ayan, sabi nga 5 to 10 minutes before your interview. 'Di ba? Syempre impressive na agad 'yun sa employer kapag alalaman na dumating kayo ng maaga, 'di ba? So, be punctual pagdating doon. Next is be thinking before you speak. A well thought out answer is always better than a rushed one. Of course, you don't want to sit there in silence for 5 minutes as you come up with an answer. But it is acceptable to take several seconds to take before you speak. Yes, wag naman yung sagot na parang scripted na kada tanong sagot agad sagot. So, pag-isipan ng maigi, i-compose kung ano yung sasabihin ninyo, lalo na kung yung mga tanong na ibibigay sa inyo ay mga situational questions, 'di ba? Na kailangan pag-isipan ng maigi. Wag yung basta-basta na kung ano biglang pumasok sa utak nyo na agad. I-compose nyo muna ng maigi kung ano yung mga isasagot ninyo bago nyo bitawan or bago ninyo sabihin. Okay? Then next is speaking clearly, cohesively, and calmly. Nerves can get you talking a mile a minute, and so can the simple desire to convey as much valuable information about yourself as possible. However, talking too fast can make you look rushed, flustered, or anxious. Make a conscious effort to slow down and speak calmly and clearly. It will help you avoid interview stress. Okay? So kapag nasa interview, kalmado lang, huwag niyong pakita na ninenervyos kayo or kabadong-kabado kayo, 'di ba? Kasi with that, kapag kayo masyadong kabado, masyado kayong stress, parang hindi kayo makakapag-isip ng maayos at hindi rin kayo makakasagot ng maayos doon sa mga tinatanong sa inyo, 'di ba? And also, 'yun, kailangan kalmado lang, okay? Para makita na parang you are confident enough with your answers. And last is being confident, not arrogant. Although you should be willing and able to promote yourself, your experience and accomplishments, make sure you don't come across as arrogant, narcissistic, or self-important. No matter how good you are at your job, you're going to run into countless obstacles if you lack the emotional intelligence to work on a team and get along with managers, coworkers, or clients. So, do yun nga na pinopromote mo yung sarili mo, syempre para ma-hire ka, wag naman masyadong arrogante yung pagkakasabi ng mga informations and achievements mo para lang ma-hire ka. Kumbaga, in short, humble pa rin, yan, confident na kung saan hindi mo pinagmamayabang, hindi arrogante, 'di ba? Yung mga bagay-bagay na sinasabi mo tungkol sa sarili mo para lang ma-hire ka, 'di ba? So, yun po iyon. Ay, meron pa pala, yan. Next is actually listening. Anyone can nod, smile, and say right or exactly over and over. But how many people actually listen? Interviews are especially tricky because you do need to be listening to your interviewer's question while mentally preparing your answer. However, if you don't listen well in the first place, you might miss the entire point of the question. And as a result, your answer will fall totally flat. So, yun. Matuto rin kayo makinig pagdating sa mga interviews. Bakit? Yun nga. Kasi nga, may mga cases na yan na parang tinatanong pa lang, nag-uumpisa pa lang sa tanong, yung nag-i-interview, meron ka nang binubuo sa utak mo na sagot doon. Na kung saan may tendency or may chances na hindi mo maintindihan yung buong tanong kasi binubuo mo na isasagot mo na kung saan may chances na maaaring maging mali yung sagot mo. Okay? So, mas mainam na pakinggan ng maigi, pakinggan ng buo kung ano yung sasabihin or ano yung itatanong sa'yo bago kayo mag-compose on your mind since pwede bibigyan naman kayo ng time na makapag-isipan kung ano muna yung inyong isasagot. Okay? So, it is a important part din na kailangan pa rin na makinig. Okay? Pagdating sa mga interview, hindi porket interview parang puro ka na lang sagot, sagot, sagot din. May part pa rin na kailangan makikinig ka pa rin. Okay? The next is expressing optimism with your words and your body language. No company wants to hire someone with a bad attitude, of course. No matter how difficult your situation is, don't bring any baggage into the interview room. That means don't badmouth your former employer or any other companies you've been associated with or complain about your personal circumstances. So pagdating sa interview, ayan, lalo na kung meron ka ng work experience, tatanungin sa'yo, bakit ka umalis dun sa previous work mo? Ano na encounter mo? So instead of saying those bad words or kung meron mang bad experiences with that, say something na maaring general reason na lang para maaring sabihin mo is general reason na lang na kung bakit ka umalis doon. Hindi yung kung ano-ano pa sisiraan. Kasi may chances na baka makita nila na pwede rin pala nangyayari yun doon sa loob ng organization nila. E di hindi ka na nila i-hire kasi hindi mo tinatagalan yung ganong bagay, di ba? Or nireklamo mo na pala yun sa dati at alam nung employer na nangyayari naman yun within their organization. So may chances na hindi ka na nila i-hire, di ba? Okay, and then aside from that, yun nga, parang negativity kasi, toxic kasi yun pag nangyayari na during the interview, nagsasabi ka ng mga reklamo mo with your past experience or with your previous job, di ba? So, ayun, kailangan yung mga sagot mo is nandoon positive ka pa rin sa pagsagot ng mga questions during your interview. Okay? And next is showing interest without desperation. Sometimes it can be helpful to think of an interview as a professional first date. An air of disinterest, apathy, or monotony will likely turn off an interviewer, as will over-enthusiastic desperation. No matter how much you want or need the job, refrain from acting desperate, pleading, or begging has no place in a job interview. The key is to express earnest interest in the role and in the company and passion for the work you do. Keep in the back of your mind that you are a valuable asset as an employee. So, pagdating sa interview, yun nga, pakita lang ninyo yung interest ninyo to be part of the organization na kung saan pinuprove mo sa kanila na maari kang maging na malaki yung maari mong ma-contribute for the organization, okay? So, nang walang desperation na kung saan nagmamakaawa kayo, please po i-hire nyo na ako. Wag pong ganun, okay? So, just pakita lang ninyo yung interest ninyo na kung saan para mako-convince mo sila na malaki yung magiging contribution mo or magiging part mo for the organization or for the company, okay? Wag yung may desperation na nagmamakaawa. So, it's a big no-no nga daw pagdating sa interview. Yung, pleading or begging. Okay? So, wala daw dapat na act of desperation pagdating sa interview. Okay? And the next, knowing more than your elevator pitch. Although you should be able to give an elevator pitch in which you introduce yourself, recap your experience, and promote your most valuable professional assets. Make sure you're comfortable talking about yourself beyond that. Know how to discuss both your strengths and weaknesses and emphasize your best qualities and greatest skills while putting a positive spin on your areas of improvement. So, dito sa part ito, pagdating nga sa interview na yan, ayan, kailangan mong i-convince sila, yun nga yung sinasabi ko kanina, about your professional experiences, valuable pakita mo sa kanila na maaari kang maging malaking asset ng company or ng organization na iyon. And also yan, alam mo rin dapat yung strengths and weaknesses mo. Kasi usually, kadalasan na natatanong yan, what are your strengths, your weaknesses, ganyan. Then, dapat open ka pagdating sa discussion nung pagdating sa weaknesses mo. Okay? Na kadalasan diyan sila kumukuha ng tanong pagdating sa weaknesses. What if ganyan? Magbibigay ng mga situational questions. Okay? And then, lastly, expressing gratitude. Don't underestimate the importance of saying thank you. As soon as your interview concludes, you should thank your interviewers for their time and for the opportunity to learn more about the position. So, ano man ang kinalabasan ng interview, maging masungit man siya or hindi, yung nag-interview sa'yo, thank you pa rin after the interview, okay? Hindi bigla-bigla ka na lang tatalikod at aalis, 'di ba? So wag na wag kakalimutang mag-thank you after the interview. Whether may assurance or wala, mag-thank you pa rin. Okay? At dyan po nagtatapos ang ating pre-work immersion